last time on possibly the greatest alchemist of all time. While Takumi gets his first pet golem, which he names Titan, the kingdom of Sidonia makes preparations for the summoning of the heroes. Worried for their safety, Takumi tries to abolish Sophia, Maria, and Reva's contracts, but after some emotionally charged confessions, Takumi reconsiders his decision. Nolan gets informed that Anat had come into existence, and she puts all faith in Takumi, the hero meant to save this world. Will Takumi prove to be the right person to save the planet, or will it prove to be too much for him? Stay tuned to find out in episode 10. The episode starts off with us finding out about a tragic event that happened exactly a year ago. The residents of Pioneer Town, a deserted village near Bolton, are relocating after the nobles in charge of their town sent it into bankruptcy and forced them to abandon everything. Manny, a beast girl who lost her husband to illness after the nobles didn't provide appropriate treatment, is among these distraught and confused villagers, thinking why she was even born in the first place. Thankfully, these poor villagers got welcomed by Count Rockford, who provided them with refuge for a year. But now he had sent Godwin a letter requesting a permanent solution be found for the villagers. It was not easy to find a place that could accommodate 1,000 villagers, and the only one they could think of that could host them was running rampant with monsters. Godwin suggests they turn to the one man that could surely help out in this matter, Takumi. Meanwhile, Takumi and his gang head out to explore dungeons. The variety of monsters and beasts they meet there are considerably stronger than the ones outside, but they still manage to take out the stronger monsters with the help of Titan with relative ease. Furthermore, Maple's excellent scouting abilities always let them know beforehand about danger. They keep conquering the floors one after the other. While walking through a new floor, Takumi suddenly steps foot on a booby trap that sets off a gigantic boulder behind them. Takumi yells retreat, and his team follows suit. After finally surviving this rolling death, Maple asks Takumi, wouldn't Titan have been able to break the giant from the ball? Takumi tells her he could have, but since Takumi had commanded everyone to run, being the faithful servant he is, he also complied. Suddenly, they feel an eerie presence near them. It's a giant earth dragon. A monster with an S rank that was definitely in a different league compared to what they had been fighting up until now. Takumi orders everyone to spread out. Titan holds the earth dragon's tail in place while Keed shoots her web around it to fix it in place. Sophia then gouges it with her sword while the rest use their magical attacks on the creature, and finally Titan finishes it off with Light of Judgment. The tough dragon, however, is able to withstand this coordinated attack unharmed. Sophia points out the flank was its weakness, upon which Takumi orders Tsubaki to ram it there. He then imbibes his sword with electricity and throws it into the creature's mouth, electrocuting it and disintegrating it into fine sparkles. With the appearance of a victory chest, the Earth Dragon's defeat is certain. Takumi picks up the dragon part he received, wondering about the production benefits it could have. Takumi then gets summoned by Godwin. Godwin informs Takumi about an uninhabited land in the south of his domain. Takumi knew about it as it was surrounded by forests and monsters, but also said to be a source of large amounts of adamantite and mithril. Godwin asks Takumi if he is interested in helping create a town there. He had heard about how Takumi helped create a wall around Board Village and wanted him to help out here. Sylvavis, Godwin's right-hand man, tells Takumi the place was located around 100 kilometers south of here and had a river and its own spring. Sophia questions Godwin for asking Takumi to help in this project despite being aware of his current situation where his life was under constant threat, but Godwin still urges Takumi to lend his support. Takumi stops Sophia and asks Godwin if he had a reason as to why he was so adamant about doing this. Godwin answers that one of the reasons was the villagers of the abandoned Pioneer Village, who had to leave everything they knew and were currently taking refuge in Bolton and Counting Rockford's territory. Godwin wanted to give them a home as soon as possible. Despite Sophia telling him to reconsider this, Takumi accepts the offer as he felt a connection to these villagers. A year ago, he himself had nowhere to go when the kind people of Bolton welcomed him and gave him a place to stay. He now wanted to repay that favor. Takumi and the gang then quickly get busy with the mission of building the town from the ground up. After dividing the tasks of making the ramparts, digging up the moats, creating a fortress, building walls, and defeating monsters amongst themselves, the wings of Nolan are able to make the town inhabitable in just 10 days as Sophia goes over to Godwin and tells him he could send the villagers over now. The villagers, skeptical about the whole thing, thinking it's probably a way to get rid of them, arrive at the new town only to get blown away by how great it was. Doran, the head escort of the village caravan, can't believe his eyes after seeing just how much Takumi was able to construct in mere 10 days. Although humble as ever, Takumi tells him the town still had ways to go. Sophia finds Manny all by herself in the village and asks her if she is willing to join another line of work besides farming. After Manny tells her she can cook, Sophia invites her to have a meeting with Takumi, hoping she could help him out by being a maid. The two meet each other, and Takumi offers Manny to work for him right away. Unable to trust him after her previous experiences with people in power, Manny refuses his offer, stating she couldn't trust him that he wouldn't do the same. She then takes her leave and thinks about leaving town now since she had said all that and was probably in Takumi's eyes for it. She, however, forgot about the monsters all around the two. Keeb notifies Takumi about the appearance of a large number of monsters, and they all take action quickly. Takumi tells Doran to have the drawbridges raised since the monsters would not be able to get over them and sets off with his party to exterminate the monsters before they can cause the villagers any harm. Surrounded by bush wolves, Manny starts thinking this was the end for her when suddenly Takumi shows up and defeats them. The rest of the party then shows up, having already defeated the monsters. Manny notices a cut on Takumi's arm that he got from one of the bush wolves and immediately tends it for him. She then apologizes for not trusting him earlier and asks if the offer is still valid. Takumi then welcomes her into the wings of Nolan as their new cook. Godwin reveals the other reason behind this town's construction: to serve as a wedge between Barkula and Sidonia. While the news of this town being built reached Sidonia soon after, infuriating the king that Barkula was trying to keep a close watch on them. Elizabeth tells him they can't let those in Barkula keep having their way as she breaks the news that the summoning circle finally had enough mana to commence the summoning. As Manny brings over lunch for the gang, the summoning finally takes place, sending a malicious aura all around the neighboring regions, and it is also immediately sensed by Takumi and the rest. Takumi abruptly realizes the timeline was exactly 1 year since he had arrived here in Barkula, which was the time Nolan had told him the heroes would be summoned after, as we see Akira, Yamato, and Akane appearing in the summoning circle, while Elizabeth stands before them exactly as we had seen previously.